that's our angle that we're going to take.
I love it, man. I gotta say, bro, I'm very impressed by you. I think you're the real deal, man. And I could just tell right away. You have a really great intuition on the market. You've had several rodeos. You've been part of successful teams, and I think your inclination for wanting to tackle some of the more logistical heavy components of this product probably came from your time kind of managing logistical,
Right.
product, and you see, you're interested in the real beefy side of the business. And I think that's a legitimate and credible differentiator and entry point. I also like the idea of using pricing as a lever,
Right.
and it just is what it is. If they're going to get the higher end of the market, this is going to be a big enough market. It's definitely not a winner takes all market,
Right.
especially if they're that high in the market. You know, this is a winner takes some, maybe winner takes most, but I don't even think so. I think this industry is going to be massive,
Right.
and I think you're right that you can just dominate, a certain segment of the market. So I love it from a differentiation perspective and what have you. I think you're sitting pretty, and yeah. Look, I guess with respects to what you were asking about with building brand. Um, you happen to be operating in an industry where there's fanatical, uh, you know, culture and
Right.
affinity there. A lot of people love their fucking weed, man.
Right. That's true.
I love my fucking weed. They just do. People just do.
Right.
So you're inherently in something that it's similar to sports in that way, where you can tap into existing brand affinity, and you're going to have to grow a core competency if you don't already have this core competency. I don't know. You haven't touched on it, but you're going to have to grow a core competency around, um, you know, building. My first inclination is content, but that's because that's a strong suit of mine.
Right.
But I do think that there's a wonderful content opportunity here where, it's like, just like building, like I want you guys to be the authority on building and running a dispensary.
Right.
Like there's plenty of people I would say, hey, build content around just like weed, but it's so vast that I think just making the slight shift of saying, hey, all content related around building and growing a dispensary, it will the long tail effect will be that people will actually get into the business of growing a dispensary because of you guys,
Right.
and inherently use you guys as a product because that trust will be there. But that will be the long tail. The short tail of it is, after you get, I would recommend building out a pillar series, which is just like an episodic series, episode 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that really gives you guys the room to shine and speak on what you know. Okay. And whether it's you and your, I guess, is your business partner, right? The guy
Yeah.
who
So it's four of us right now.
Okay. So whomever it is that's gonna be the voice, or maybe it's a mixture of you guys, but
Mhm.
I'm really big on creating, a pillar series that gives you guys the room to shine and speak about what you know. Much like, you know, I do that, like I give myself the room to shine on, building businesses and investing in real estate and what have you. And as you can see, that has over the long term just built tremendous brand affinity.
Right.
And I think Service Ganja is probably going to need to do the same thing. The flip side of it is, like, if you don't do it, let's say, um, you can build brand affinity by just providing an excellent product, to your people. But I
Mhm.
think that's cost of entry, right? So, like,
Right.
you're gonna need to have a good product for people to stick around. And I'm not here to tell you about product because I feel like you have a tight grip on, you know the cadence of making
Mhm.
sure someone likes it, and you're gonna have to make sure that the product is sticky, no pun.
Right. Right.
But then I I just think it's a missed opportunity if you don't augment that with the content piece, and that's gonna be what really builds brand, credibility, and that's how you start permeating outside of the circle that you already know.
Right.
And because this is still relatively niche kind of opportunity, it won't be. At some point, it's gonna be mainstream.
Right.
But while it's niche, can we take advantage of the fact that, like, I love niches, riches and niches, because it's just smaller, easier to cover territory. So while you're in this pocket that it's still considered early, right? Can you take advantage of the telltale sign of a niche is individuals tell individuals. And so this makes your go to market just super clear, right? Um because I'm positive that there are Facebook groups of dispensary owners. There are
Right.
meetup groups. They're already congregating, you know, in
Right.
bulk in certain captive little niche, scenarios.
Right.
So, you know, I personally love using content as a Trojan horse into that, because then you're not entering with like, "Hey, buy my shit," although, there's an element of that obviously, but you're entering and saying, "Hey," you're using content as a resource and its value, right? So you have a value-driven approach for entering the marketplace, and you can begin saturating some of these groups with the content that you're putting out. And, this is why I say you have to develop a core competency around this, because, that's a skill in and of itself. But
Right.
if you start creating content that is valuable to these people, they're gonna they're gonna share you guys group to group,
Right.
and
Because
you
it's
start
valuable.
using that. Then that's inbound. They're entering your funnel,
Right.
and you just nurture them, and you nurture them, and you nurture them, and you nurture them, and you'll start to see there. In fact, I would venture as far as say there won't be any damn chance that you don't get an inbound and an increase, an influx in inbound interest.
Right.
And then the natural extension of that is they're going to try service ganja. They're just going to be like, yo, this, let me try it. Like, they'll see you as that guy, or,
Right.
that brand, and then they'll try your product. So I've personally seen that play out for me in a number of different capacities. For
Mhm.
instance, with HCP, we were one of the few um, venture funds that took a very content forward approach and just like vlogged and story told around it and
Right.
micro bits of content. And the pillar series is important because that's the long form piece, right? That's the 15-20 minute episode where you can go at length about a subject and really saturate someone's desire to learn more about a space. But
Mhm.
then the advantage is you're archiving all this pillar series 1, 2, 3, and then you can start repurposing that and taking that 30-second snippet that you were on fire. I mean, you've seen the formula. You
Right.
take it, you drop it on social, and those bits of micro content, that's what has the virality.
Right.
That's for me, once you build a core audience, you're just testing against them with content. And
Right.
every once in a while, I get a piece that boop, just gets a massive spike. Gets,
That's the
I had a tweet that got 130,000 retweets,
thing.
and that all you need is one. You get a big spike, and that's when you get an influx, and your
Right.
core audience grows. And when that new core audience comes in, you're
More
nurturing,
people.
you're
Right.
nurturing. And so it's kind of rinse, wash, repeat. So I've seen that play out for me personally as well. I've seen it play out for Harlem Capital, the brand, where we became the de facto just authority in the space and enabled us to raise 40 million bucks.
Right.
Um, and I've seen, even this session is a great example. We didn't know each other up until this point, and I just
Right.
shared a thing, and you clicked on a link without even really knowing what the experience was going to be,
Right.
and it happened because that trust was there. So that's what I think. Look, that's not going to be the only way to win,
Mhm.
but from where I sit, I think it's a fantastic opportunity while the market's niche. Once the market gets to the point where it's so big, it'll be harder to break in. So
Right.
I think you're sitting in a unique time in the market where it's gonna pop. You're already seeing really big boy A rounds, so the validation is right in front of you guys.
Right.
Um, and do what you can, get in how you fit in. Price is one way, you know, um, product differentiation with the back end capacity is another way.
Right.
And then on the to perfect the triangle there, you have price and product, and then, you know, brand via content ends up being that other side of that trinity. And I think just dialing that in and honing and honing and honing, is gonna get you guys there, man. I'm excited. I think this is a fantastic business opportunity, man. So, just run with it, build it out. And then I guess just to offer a few thoughts on the vice industry thing. Look, you're right, man. You're right. So we received our anchor investor wrote us a $5 million check. We had a few other big LPs that wrote us really big checks, and one of them wrote us a check and explicitly made us sign something that we wouldn't invest in vice
Right.
types of businesses because they didn't want their brand associated with that.
Right.
Like it was a cancer center, Memorial Sloan
Oh,
Cancer
okay.
Center. So what you're gonna have to do, it's just gonna create some additional hurdles for you, but it's a good and a bad thing. The bad thing is that it rules out a lot of capital, but the
Right.
good thing is that the capital sources are, they're making themselves known, right? They're making themselves known, and they're proving out that vice focused investing is a legitimate
Right.
category.
Right.
So they're gonna be really vocal about, "Hey, we wanna invest in you." So you should be able to spot them. Whether it's the way I would do it is r looking for other, businesses in and around this category and looking up their TechCrunch articles when they announce that they raised,
Mhm. Right.
and you see who leads their round, and then you also see who participates in their rounds. And I would literally systematically build out a spreadsheet. And, the other thing that you have going for you is, angels. Um, look, you're not gonna fill out a big ass round with angels, but you can begin to get a little bit of narrative going and
Mhm.
buzz and excitement on the capital raising side with angels.
Right.
Angels lend themselves really naturally to that. And, and celebrities like the idea of being invested in, you know, a weed business. And also to make matters more interesting, you you take what's happening right now is racial tension and the
Mhm.
fact that you know, however many percentage of blacks are incarcerated for,
Right.
possession and we're not really set up to capitalize on this trend.
Right.
This happens to be a black owned business that's killing it in this trend. With that narrative alone, you can and should be able to get in front of Kevin Hart's, all these types of celebs that,
Yeah.
want to be invested.
See, the
Um,
thing with them, how do I get in front of those type? First, I want to acknowledge the points that you were making. This is exactly why I wanted to speak with you, because you've built that brand and you have that confidence in knowing exactly certain things that pop, right?
mhm,
That's like you
mhm,
said, that's exactly how we are connected right now. It's based on your brand and how you
mhm,
connect with others. And also, it was kind of a perfect storm when you did everything because I was doing research within these different companies and was noticing, hey, these people do not have any presence on YouTube or
mm,
Instagram or any of that. I'm like, man, how are
mm,
these companies maneuvering?
mhm.
Nobody knows who they are, So that's why I wanted to, explore these options. Like, hey, this is a way in, to build and
Exactly.
to create.
Boom.
Yeah.
And that just gave me chills, and when I get those, that's when I know we're on something because I like the way you phrase it, right? That's your way in. So
Right,
you have enough awareness to know that's not the only way in, but you happen to have spotted and you notice that the established competitors don't have that built out, so it's a way in.
right,
And they have a hold on the market right now just by virtue of having been early and being funded, and
right,
so they got that going for them. They're gonna continue to exploit that, but you as an entrepreneur and being on the ground floor, you're looking for that white space where you can pop. So your
right.
your intuition is spot on, man. I mean, you, I think you have a lane all by yourself here to crush it. And the content piece isn't going to come overnight, and neither is the brand, as you know.
Right.
But you can. This brand has. You're building a brand in a category that just has immense affinity and
Yeah.
culture, and it's just there.
Right.
So just by virtue of you being adjacent, it's gonna give you a lift. And I think focusing on providing value to those small dispensary owners and being
Mhm.
that indispensable resource where they're like, "Yo, y I want them to discover your product through your content." You know what
Right.
I'm saying? Like, "Yo, this content is so fire. Oh, shit, they make a platform? Bet, I'm in." So yeah, man, I'm pumped, bro. I'm really pumped. And yeah, when it comes, we can pick this conversation back up as the product matures and you start getting to that point where
Mm.
where you start looking at the fundraise a little bit more deliberately. It might be short term, might be midterm future. You know, we can get into the strategy of how to assemble the round. I mean, it sounds like you're familiar, but you got to get that buzz going. Which
Right,
for me, the low hanging fruit is get a few. Can you get a few more wealthy dispensary owners that invest? Then you have some of that industry validation. Can you get some popular angels? And you got some of that halo effect from them. But ultimately, that buzz only matters so that you can secure a lead investor, which is
right,
going to take half the round. And the term lead is misleading because it implies that they go first.
right,
They don't go first, they just go biggest.
right,
So the lead, when they're evaluating who to anchor, you already need a little bit of that narrative bubbling for them to see the picture and say, we're going to go with these guys.
right.
And then once you get that, and there's Vice Ventures. I'm not sure if you heard of them. She's a woman white girl whom I think raised like 25 or 50 million bucks and specifically invests in, Vice type companies. So there's going to be a few of them and more popping up. So I think, the timing is great for you. And then the last thing I'll say, because I have to run, but I also think this is divine timing. The last business or the last group of founders that I was just speaking to, their exact business is connecting celebrities to investment opportunities. That's all they do. And I spoke to them at length, man, and they work pretty tight to the chest, but they're the real deal as well. They've been
Right.
very successful. They're out of LA. Um, I'm gonna take a stab at connecting you guys. I
Yeah,
just met them. I'm just
great.
meeting you. I'm gonna take a stab at it because I couldn't not piece that together. I think,
Right,
I think that that's great. So
right.
I got to run, man. I hope this was helpful. I enjoy connecting with you. You have my personal email, the email I sent to schedule. That's my personal actual
Okay.
line. So my inbox is open to you, man. I don't want to make it transactional. I want to leave it
Sure.
open for you to hit me anytime. Okay.
Okay. Hey, John, thanks, man. I appreciate you taking the time to connect with me, man. The
No doubt.
information was very helpful. And like I said, hope to speak with you later. All right.
Absolutely, bro. Be well, man.
Yeah.